We'll just wait for 1 more minute and then kick off sharp at 11:05. Rishabh, can you confirm if you can hear me all right?
Yes, Rajiv, I can hear you good.
Okay. I'm just also going to share my screen. Do confirm if you.
Okay. Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. Thank you. So morning, everybody. Just to introduce myself, my name is Rajiv. I am one of the co-founder and head the Dynamics practice at Oli Technologies. And, have been involved with Navision and Business Central for now almost more than 2 decades, though I have been working with other products and other solutions, but this is the one product that I would have worked the longest. And so today I take this opportunity to share my thoughts regarding what I feel is a very important, you know, decision point with regard to moving from NAV to Business Central. And this will be true for all the customers of NAV in India. So I think there are. So the first question, why are we doing this workshop? We are today here at NAV 2016. There are customers using it and they will be using it for years. And in between, a lot of water has flown. NAV 17, 18, then Business Central, multiple versions till 17 got launched globally, but not in India. So we are here now where our destination will be either Business Central 18 or Business Central 19, which is getting launched in October. So this is our destination. And as I said, a lot of water has flown in these many years with these many releases. And then there is another, pressure point and trigger point. The support for India localization on NAV 2016 will end in April 22. So practically there is a 6 months time window in which we need to take a decision as to how we want to move, what will be the strategy. So with this as a context and the background, if I, basis my experience, try to read the minds of the customer, I will see these many questions, very much in minds of different customers. Some will be questioning why to change. Is Business Central a different product? What will be the commercial implication? Is it not like the previous upgrade? So what the big thing? What is that we are, creating a hullabulla about? And obviously, a lot of people will have this, that what will happen to my existing customization data that I have in NAV. And I feel these are the, legitimate, very genuine questions, which is what I'll try to, answer through my presentation and in this webinar. So we are talking of Business Central, right? So why change? You see, the world around us is changing. You alone, we may have a perpetual license for NAV. We have done the customization. It is working absolutely fine. But we cannot remain aloof with all the development that is happening, in the other areas. it is a connected world. So whether it is mobility, mobile apps, different players with whom you will interact, whether they are banks, whether they are your logistic service providers, the way the plant equipments, they are becoming IoT enabled and whatnot. So this whole world will change. The technology is disrupting itself. And in certain cases, you will not be in a position to carry the technology debt. We need to become free of the technology debt. What do I mean by technology debt? And I am talking this on the basis of my experience working on so many NAV implementations, that the solution actually gets built over years. You have a basic initial requirement done, design created, but then basis the feedback, changes in the business scenarios, changes in people in the organization, a lot of things get staged, and generally all the customizations and every mapping that would have been done, people would have changed from the implementation partner side, documentation will be lacking, and hence whatever design was there, at times you just continue with that design because nobody knows what will happen if I change that, because that information is not there. And that's the technology debt. That old architecture will continue to be used because everybody is afraid of unplugging anything. And on the other side, Microsoft has a clear-cut cloud first, mobile first philosophy. All the latest innovation development is happening toward that. All the applications are nowadays becoming more intelligent, AI, ML getting embedded. And we have to see that how you provide 24/7. And also, from a scalability point of view, your business will change, number of users may increase. Again, I say that in this context, I think it is inevitable that we don't change. You will have to change. Otherwise, you'll become redundant, the current solution. So let's take a pause and also see that what is this Business Central. I'll play a very quick 2-minute video because it sets the context very well, that what is Business Central.
As the leader of a small to medium-sized business, you wear a lot of hats. Visionary, creator, motivator, and everything in between. You know your core business, your customers, and your competition. And you also know that to stay atop your industry, performing well today is just the beginning. You need to be ready for tomorrow too, for new products, new prototypes, new services, and new business models. And while you might be ready to take on what's next, can you say the same about your financial and operating systems? Because to make your business dreams a reality, you need business solutions that keep pace with a constantly changing world. That's why successful SMBs have moved to the cloud with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central.
Now, more than ever, small and medium businesses need to embrace digitalization because business as we know it is changing. The expectations are changing. The customer experience is changing. And even where we work and how we work is changing right in front of our eyes. And yet so many businesses are still limited by systems that simply don't allow for change. That's why we launched our next evolution of Microsoft Dynamics 365 NAV, GP, and SL to enable businesses to be powered by the cloud, powered by data, and powered by business intelligence. We brought together the productivity of Microsoft Office 365, the data connectivity and business intelligence of the Microsoft Power Platform, the security, scale, and geographic presence of Microsoft Azure. Dynamics 365 Business Central unifies these assets into a single application. This enables teams to connect with their finance, sales, service, supply chain, manufacturing, and distribution data. This connectivity ultimately allows teams to adapt faster, work smarter, and perform better.
Move to the cloud with confidence to adopt new business models faster. With flexible deployment options and innovative solutions that grow alongside your business. Connect people, processes, and insights to make better decisions quicker, and optimize productivity with embedded guidance and interoperability with Office 365 and Teams. Increase financial visibility and performance to close your books faster, get reports sooner, and obtain real-time cash flow and performance metrics at any time, on any device. Today's marketplace isn't just competitive, it's constantly changing, with every day and every minute bringing something new. Be equipped for what's next and unlock limitless possibilities with Business Central.
So this was a quick video to set the strengths of Business Central and why Business Central in place. Also, if we very quickly want to summarize that, how is Business Central different? And when I'm saying the reference point is NAV. So the technology platform has completely changed. It's a different paradigm. NAV was C-side, CAL. Now Business Central is AL, extensions, and you have the cloud versions. Licensing model has changed. From CapEx, it has become OpEx. So you have per user per month licensing. The infrastructure in the cloud is all the managed services are provided by Microsoft. So which is where I know we can always have this argument that one, we can maintain it in own data centers. We can do it, deploy NAV on Azure. But the wherewithal it takes to provide the kind of services with the kind of expertise of Microsoft, if you want to match that, if you want to bring the disaster recovery, the security from all the, virus attacks and whatnot, it's a different ball game. So that is where, the Microsoft services will outscore and outperform. And obviously, in between, so much functional changes have happened that, there's a lot which you might have customized may not be needed anymore. So in this way, it's a different product, different paradigm, different architecture. Now, journey to cloud for customers who are on NAV 2009 or 13 or 2016. I think majority will be on 2016. There will still be some customers who are on 13 or 9. So for 9 and 13, there will be for 9, it will be a two-step process. The first upgrade to 13 and then, get on the Business Central. So this whole upgrade thing will require when you are moving the customer, one is moving the entire code to Business Central. In between where all the code needs to get converted into AL, the new technology platform. And then the second part is moving your data, whatever is residing in Navision to Business Central Cloud. So these are the two primary streams or steps which are involved. So then with this, what are the key decision points? There will always be this question that shall we move entire data? Now some customers may be sitting on huge pile of data, which could be for years, because erstwhile NAV previously allowed some level of archival, but it was not also a true archival. And second approach could be, let's move the masters, get the opening balances, and start, and we may be having some selective transactional data, and I'll tell you, what could that be? So you may try to, take certain data into certain tables just to get some report from the new system. So the second approach, C2, is the approach where you are not taking the entire data. The other one is that we'll do the complete migration. So the determining factors here are, One, what is the size of the database? So there are no golden rules. This is our experience that I am just trying to classify them. So if the customer's database is less than 200 GB, let's categorize that as small. 200 to 500 GB is medium, and then larger than 500 GB should be a large database. So the size does matter. The size does matter because the second point, which is health and hygiene. So the larger the database is, there are more chances that it may not be in the best of the health and hygiene. There may be, duplicate records, there may be dirty data. In certain cases, there were a lot of entries which might have gone wrong when the initial implementation was happening. So I have seen practically that, it takes quite a while for certain businesses to get stabilized, and they then continue with that data. So where later on the things would have got streamlined, but it still carries a lot of dirty data. So this is one important thing to observe and see, because now it is like if you are moving to if you have got a new closet, will you move all your existing clothes from the previous one, or do you want to be selective? So I think this is a great opportunity to be selective instead of just doing blind all of data movement. Similar decision point is to be taken regarding the customization. Simplest is move all the customization, and I'll say it is not also simple. It's a wrong thing. So it is not simple, but yes, I will not have to apply myself too much to discuss what to drop, what to carry forward, what to, reconfigure, redesign. But moving all customization to Business Central, determining factors will be what is the quantum of customization. So if I have a small chunk of customization done, which is also more or less in the, 50,000 series, or where I have not touched the core application, then I'll say it's a easy bet to move all the customization. But wherever you have this complexity of where you have used you have done a lot of customization also in the standard tables, code units, have integration with third-party tools, .NET variables being used and whatnot, different level of integrations, then it falls under the different level of complexity, and detailed analysis has to be done that what can get converted into extensions easily, or what will be the change that will have to be done. Moving selected customization, this approach says, oh, I did customization, a lot of customization. Let's have a list of customization, and now we should remap, just do a gap fit vis-a-vis the Business Central. And we should figure out, oh, are there customization that we did because some functionality was not there in, Business and Navision at that point in time? Answer will be, you'll find for quite a few, the answer will be yes. And then that is where the call will have to be taken that, shall we continue with customization or adopt the new functionality which is there in Business Central. The third decision point is deployment. Again, I'll say majority of the NAV customers will be on-prem. Few would have deployed it on Azure or whatever. But considering majority will be on-prem, what will be the choice and what will be the right approach to move to again BC on-prem or to cloud? So in this case, I think one of the key factors that we'll have to take into consideration is again that what is the in-house competence of managing, the data center, how much is the database size growth, what growth do we see, what are the current integrations, how many reports have we created a lot of SSRS reports, kind of a thing, or do we do a lot of direct SQL query to pull the data? So these are the scenarios that will have to be examined, but having already, done a lot of thinking, discussions with the team for different cases, I firmly believe that, cloud definitely is the better answer, choice, and actually the right answer. On-prem can still be a stopgap arrangement. So right now, if there is a 6 month window before support for NAV localization will end, by moving to BC on-prem, you may again just buy more time. But I feel ultimate journey to cloud has to happen. So this customization, I think there is always a lot of confusion with regard to customization. So it is like cholesterol. Not every cholesterol is bad. So it is not that if you just have a lot of customization, it is bad. It is the quality. So first I'll say, why did we do customization in the first place? There would be functionality gaps. I might have done UI or UX level changes on NAV. Now we might have created workflows, reports, integrations. So these are typically the drivers for customization. Now you consider each of them and you'll have to see, oh, what is the situation scenario now with Business Central? Because functionality gaps, do they still remain the same or they actually drastically reduce? Now UI UX, whatever you are having versus what is the UI UX of Business Central, where it provides you this advantage of being the uniform app and UI for whether you are using mobile, tablet or PC. So this is one of the area that I'll say, where do you want to carry your technology debt? On NAV, you might have done a lot of changes on the UI. Now, do you just want to carry that, or you want to adopt what is the latest so that it remains, updated continuously? So between NAV and BC, all Seaside code will have to be changed to AL. Whatever modifications are done in the core application. So when I say core application, which means in Business Central, so all your customization will have to be converted into extensions. And when you are converting into extension, again, there will be a question that how many extensions? Shall it be just one extension, more than one extension? Plus the code that you have written for integration, SSRS reports, data import, export, batch jobs, your so-called SQL queries and scripts. So all of this, still need code refactoring. So it is just not that you can just move it. Plus, as I said, functional gaps, we will have to see what all is there available as a standard. So one very important point I want to make is there could be a database where 50 new tables have been added, and then new functionality or a new module has been created. And if it has minimal or zero footprint of customization in the standard, this is very nice customization. And if it is still a functional gap, I'll say this is an easy piece to move to, because it will not create problems. Whereas you might not have done a lot of customization, but you have only, changed 3 or 4 code units, it can create havoc depending upon what level of changes you have done in code units. Now the functions or procedures where you have made the change, maybe they are even deprecated, or, now because you'll have to convert into whether the publishers are available or not. So there will be complexity at that level. If I think and take different aspects, I'll say I'll slot them into simple, medium, complex scenarios and situation. One is what is the level of customization? As I said, if no tempering to code, it's a simple. Core modified, but publishers are all available. It can be converted to AL, it's still a medium kind of a thing. But core is modified, not all publishers are available. .NET variables use SSRS report, as I said. So a lot of code refactoring needs to be done. And this is where the quantum will also make sense. That is it a lot of code or is it only limited? Second is obviously the database size. So larger the database size, as I said, there will always be more chances. It is only that there will be more chances. It is not that you may not have dirty data in a small database. It may very much be there. For simple, I am saying there will always be low risk involved of any disruption in a simple scenario whereas risk will be higher in the complex one because you will have to do as much testing. And we all know doing the testing and thinking of all the, because you can easily select the happy path, but it is always those exceptional scenarios, boundary conditions. So thinking and documenting all those use cases is a time taking thing. And hence I have seen when that area gets compromised, what happens is that your implementation actually gets into iterative mode. You might make it live, then discovery of issues is there, and day in, day out, you struggle and then you try to create the patches, and then it takes a while before it will get stabilized. That is why the risk factor is high. Again, this is just a high level, benchmark, but not I'll say this can vary from individual scenarios. But for simple 1 to 2 weeks, for the medium 2 to 4 weeks, for complex, nothing less than 4 weeks, and it can even be months if I'm trying to do everything. So obviously nobody can exactly pinpoint how much time unless we have done the close analysis, gone through. And I feel if we want to have a non-disruptive migration from NAV to Business Central, these are the resource load that will be needed for doing this, where it will be a combination of technical, functional. And here I'm not including that here will be very important involvement of the resources from the customer side. Because for the different functional areas, obviously they will have to get involved. Ballpark, we have seen, that what effort does it take to do in simple cases, in 1 to 2 days, you can actually bring all the objects. In the medium scenario, we say one object which may have 15 to 20 functions can be done in 1 day. In complex scenarios, because you might have to see what will be the workaround, are there publishers available, not available, then what you're going to do. And then because of the code refactoring, it requires to do the impact analysis and whatnot. It may take 3 to 5 days per object, and then it depends how many objects are there of the complex nature. Now, I'll walk you through, this has taken, as I said, a lot of water has flown between NAV 2016 and Business Central. And there are a lot of enhancements that have happened both on the technology and the functional side. So if you'll see few of the things, I just wanted to highlight few of the things. Employee ledger entry, extensions, categories in GL account, integration with Outlook. Now, these are all the things which may actually require me to rethink that the solution customization that I have done and the customer what he's using. Does it not need all of this? Because I might have created every employee as a vendor because previously there was no employee ledger entry in NAV. So shall I continue using him as a vendor? And then I might have defined a dimension or whatever to get the vendor balances XYZ. So it is not that it will not be working, but you have a workaround which was done. Shall you continue with this or adopt the standard functionality? Similarly, categorization of the GL accounts and its impact on the analysis by dimension and the account schedules. So the way you can then get the reporting, whether you have to do the segment reporting and whatnot. So Outlook, and again, you'll see it is just not one or two. You have the cash flow forecast. Now Power BI. I'll actually cover in a slide later on, because this reporting, whole area of reporting, I think needs to undergo a massive change, both from the customer side, that how they were using the reports, and what can now be achieved from a modernization point of view. Having a universal app. So if anybody can use different devices with the same user experience, I again feel that there will be so many use cases that you can think of, which may not have been thought of earlier. Now this item attributes and hierarchy, I think this one change itself is a massive turnaround thing. I know that so many, customizations are there done because of the how you want to build the item category, and obviously it will always be hard coded. But now all these attributes, they are, configurable. So the way it can be used opens up. Similarly, the tolerance, OCR capability, the connector for the dynamic sales, which has become much more robust. Bank reconciliation enhancements. And I don't know how many of you would know that there is already a modern price management. The sales pricing, logic algorithm has undergone a change, and till now in 18, the change was done. It was available only as a code. The UI for that was not available. But consultants who know the product, who understand and are, updated with the latest, they would know that, oh, we can use these functionalities. And I know a lot of customization gets done because for these type of requirements. Now, these are a few of the other changes on the technical side. So this was a glimpse and a snapshot of, to give you a feel of, you see, these many changes have happened between NAV 2016. So how it is going to impact your existing customizations? And if we don't consider all of this and just carry forward, will we be doing justice with the, existing upgrade project that we'll do? Will the customer be actually using all the new functionality? So which is what I think is a very important aspect. So what is our recommendation? In one line, it is do not do a blind upgrade from NAV to BC. It will require a lot of, change in our own thought process. I have seen within my own organization that different, developers and consultants, by human nature, they live in their own comfort zone. I have shown you these many lists. I do not want to say that every consultant in Holley Technologies will be aware of all these changes. No. Will he be comfortable with all the new things which are there? Maybe no. And that is why at times they may not be, forthcoming to take this risk of, trying to adopt whatever is new and feel comfortable to move whatever is already done. But we strongly believe, have the conviction that we should adopt the standard business application, go through your list of customization, add to it whatever is the wish list of the business users, then do the mapping with the, all the existing functionality in BC 19. See what all is the standard map, what are the gaps, whatever are the gaps, are they also already part of your customization? What type of customization, simple or complex? And then take a call. So this brings my second point. Customization, customize if you must. One, you will have to go and build everything as an extension, because Microsoft will keep updating the software, and if you have all the extensions, it will never create a conflict. There can be some exceptions what we call the breaking changes, but that is only an exception. So like in Ollie Technologies, we have developed two extensions, which are horizontal extensions called Proactivate and Cyborg, through which we try to do everything through so these are, Cyborg is a business rule engine. So whatever validations we want to put in, which are for a customer specific or for anything for the mandatory fields, alert, notifications, task management. So we have these generic extensions and then we only configure the rules there. So no coding involved. And last but not the least, you need to modernize your application. And this modernization is continuously evolving. So whatever level of intelligence is embedded today, I can tell you every quarter it gets changed, enhanced, and that is where the whole world is changing. So AI, ML are becoming, all pervasive. They are getting embedded into different use cases. So every quarter there will be a change. Every business process will become, much more intelligent, and customers will demand that. So re-platform from NAV to Business Central, reimagine the solution, modernize it. I was saying, think of the different users, how they are collaborating, what is their business model, what will be the integrated environment. Now you'll have devices of choice, role centers, whether you. Now I told you that reporting, I think this is one area which, so what we have in NAV is what we call the canned reports. So when it is just the operational data, it is fine. Previously, we were spending a lot of time to make analytical reports in NAV. And a lot of every implementation I've seen, we would have spent a significant effort and still a significant dissatisfaction within the users with regard to reporting. So let me tell you, reporting is one area which will keep changing. So you build some report, there will be new models, that will always be required that you change. And this is where, Power BI reports, which you can embed directly into NAV in different, functional areas. And what you can do with Power BI. So yes, we should see that we use not only for extracting data, but building the predictive models and then using it, for prescribing the business processes. I was telling you machine learning AI is getting embedded in the application. So whether it is the item image analyzer, whether it is the forecasting of the inventory, now when you are doing your demand and supply analysis, or whether it is the cash flow forecast. So these are few of the areas where Microsoft has already brought in, ready to use AI algorithms. And this is continuously going to evolve. And that is where I will not like to risk of just pushing my existing customization and not creating a solution where they can use all the modern things. Now from an extensibility, you see, I said you customize if you have to. It's not that you should not customize or you will not have to customize. You will still have to customize. But then if I'm talking of the UI UX, we should definitely see for different workloads, are Power Apps a better option? Because I'll create what is specifically needed for them. I do the last mile digitization. So this architecture actually helps you to drive your digital transformation with Business Central, because ERP will always remain the core application and there will always be a lot of surround applications. So driving that, not creating a completely scalable, architecture. I think this is what is available here. So utilization of the common data model or the Dataverse, which is available, through which you can create, all those entities are also available in Business Central. And last but not the least, which is very important, is the ISV and the partner ecosystem. So once whatever solutions are there. So when you are in the application, you can immediately see before I'll do see if there is any solution available on the partner source. So if app source has got a solution, definitely I will not like to reinvent the wheel. There can always be cost benefit analysis that might have to be done because an app available on app source might cover a larger solution footprint and you may require only some specific feature. But before I do the customization, I will definitely check this out. From a security point of view, from the uptime, that we provide to the customer and through Microsoft. So this is all which goes. And if I take all of these factors into consideration, when I say if I am hosting a NAV application in Azure versus Business Central hosted by Microsoft, then I need to do an apple to apple comparison. What kind of SLAs, what kind of, engineering skills will they be deploying and what is that we are going to deploy? Resources, what we'll do for the security, what we will do for the disaster recovery, take all that cost into consideration. Because I know when people manage the, database in-house in a data center, so a lot of things don't get done. It's typically at times it may be, not the optimal scenario situation. People do take backup, people do, but whether those backups are working. So it's a huge cost to do all that. Now, when I said that we want to modernize, I'm pitching what I'm saying. I will definitely like to walk the talk, and I have some very competent, colleagues of mine to help you give a flavor. So I just want to say when I'm trying to say that we should see to modernize the application and why there is significant difference between NAV and Business Central. So we'd like to give you a quick walkthrough and I'll request my colleague, Dipen, if you can, or Rishabh, one of you, if you can share your screen. Correct. So Dipen, first let's show, the case of the Outlook integration. So what we see here, sorry, I was not able to see that screen. Now I can see. So let's say a customer has sent you a mail where he wants you to give a quotation for an item. Now, typically, if we had to give the quotation for an item, I would have seen, okay, this is the item description. I copy it, memorize it. And then I would have gone into Business Central. I'll open Business Central, try to search this item, see availability, available and whatnot. Now, what it allows you to do is you can, while you are in Outlook itself, you can actually, access your Business Central. So the person who is responding to customer, he does not even have to go out of Outlook. And is it just simple thing? No, it is. It completely enables you to get all the information. As you are seeing on the right hand side, you are able to see, your customer, your Business Central. You can see your customer, what all has happened with this customer. You want to search that specific item. So it will not only search, it will also give you the recommendation because there may be, more than one items of the similar description nature. So this whole piece this is the level of integration. And I can tell you, if I talk of my competition, be it SAP, Oracle and whatnot, every partner, everybody will say, oh, we have integration with MS Office and everything. But what is the detail? What is the depth? And here that is what we need to see. And this for me is one of the key points on which I'll explore every use case for different users in the organization who are dealing, whether I'm dealing with the customer, am I dealing with the vendor, am I dealing with, when I say different type of vendors, and whatever interaction I'm having with these external parties, how I can best, utilize them or respond to them without having to switch different applications and whatnot. So this is one important, thing from a integration standpoint. So I can simply respond to that quotation and this may not just be the quotation. I want to give you another use case. Your customer might actually send you a complaint about a product. He might have sent you a, an inquiry about some product. He might have sent you a, complaint about the delay in shipment. And then you are just addressing all of that because you are connected to the Business Central, your ERP at the back end. So this was one. Now let's switch over and show you another thing. So as I said, we have created some horizontal extension through which I feel that, defining these mandatory fields, like in the standard product, you can define a mandatory field. It can have a, asterisk sign. But if you have not entered what all should happen and which all field should be made mandatory. So we have this extension where, we have already done a lot of pre-configurations for all the standard entities that what field should be mandatory. And if you don't make them mandatory, what shall happen? Shall you block that? Let's say you are creating a new item or a new customer. So if you don't input all the mandatory field, the item master will get created, but by default it will remain blocked. You cannot put it to use unless all the mandatory fields are entered. Now, all of this important thing I'm trying to show is that this is all switch on, switch off basis. So let's say if currently you see the customer master, whatever field I do not want to use, I can disable that, I can enable it, I can change the rule, I can define new fields, I can add any custom entity. So this is how I'll manage using this horizontal. I don't have to do the customizations. The next example would be there is workflow where I want to send the, notifications, or when I release a purchase order, I want to send the purchase order to the employee through email, to the vendor through email. And there will be n number of, so we have already created a lot of templates for different business areas, that what templates of alerts notifications will be needed. And while there is a workflow available within Business Central also, here one, it will be all templatized, it will all be pre-configured. You can change, the content. And just to give you an example, like here you are saying again, what report do you want to attach, one or multiple reports? So these are it should be so simple that, oh, what report do I want to attach? And I select and I enable that. Okay, whenever I'm sending this, I will send the purchase order, but along with the purchase order, I will also send a document which is terms and conditions or my, packaging instructions, XYZ. So they will automatically go as part of the notifications. Let's move to another. Yeah, so let's say so how does these look? Let's say I've received the payment from the customer. Yeah, we can show them one example. So if I receive the payment from the customer and now with this payment entry, I'm closing two transactions, which may be the invoices. Oh, it is blinking, depends somehow. So the system will automatically send the customer back an acknowledgement that, following invoices have been closed with this payment. So it all reduces, the human effort in doing these kind of things. I think Dipendra is blinking. It is not very clear. Doesn't matter. Let me take back the control. So I'll show you one more thing, which is, very interesting to see. So Teams, we all know, Teams is getting used everywhere. So this is, let me just write this. Now Teams, through Power Automate, I can obviously connect with, Business Central. Like we have created a bot. Now, if I create this bot, again, I'm just trying to show you as a use case. Now, for my internal employees in the organization, I might actually now power my purchase acquisition process through Microsoft Teams, where anybody who wants to do, and then the bot takes over and he helps them to create or, retrieve the information about any of the, products. So it will keep asking what type of item do I want, inventoryable, non-inventoryable. If I'll say inventoryable, it will then I can give, and I know everybody will know in the demo database we already have shares. I can say, so this is what I'm trying to show here is it will keep asking me questions and then it will actually create a requisition and Business Central gives me back the acknowledgement that this requisition has been created. And I can actually, if it is a new product, I can also specify if there is a particular vendor or if there is a price point that I want to provide as a guide to the purchase team. So this is one another example of Teams, and there are n number of now things that you can do. So if I am collaborating with different users within the organization or with the external parties through Teams, so which will be used for messaging, I can insert any of the area from information from Business Central into my messaging. So Teams is another area of collaboration that we should take into consideration. And last but not the least, just give me a second. Now what I'm showing is this is Process Advisor from Power Automate. Now when we are taking taking this decision of whether we should customize or modernize. Now I'll take this example, a use case that a customer sent an inquiry over the email through email. Now one approach and route would have been that I then go into Business Central, I go the regular route, fetch that whatever information I want to from Business Central and then come back to Outlook and send that email. Versus, as I said, the other route is that from within Outlook, I got the mail and I will, get all the information and respond to the customer there and then. Now in each of these, so what you can do is actually the system can record your different processes that you are doing and then can provide you the comparative, analysis that how much time, which is the costly, way of doing things. And where is the room for improvement in terms of are there things that you are doing manually which can be automated? So this is what is the Process Advisor. And now if you think how we will like to use it, if there are multiple users in the organization doing the similar thing. Now, if you benchmark their time, it is very much possible and you may see what is the specific thing with the top 10%. So I will then record to see what do they do as part of their regular handling. Is it the skill or is it the way they navigate the knowledge And then I can curate what could be the best practice for improving the performance of all other users. And then think you may do it in different functional areas. And which is where the customer will get the actual ROI and will feel that, yes, with Business Central, they are moving much ahead in their digital transformation journey. So these are just few of the examples that I had thought that I'll share just to walk the talk of modernization. So we feel that the journey is to diagnose, then migrate, and then keep on innovating. If you're with growth, you need to scale with continuous, intelligence embedded into the system. We need to thrive with what optimization we achieve. And as part of the first step, which is the diagnosis. So diagnosis is very important. I think no customer can actually move without diagnosis, whether they do it internally, and it is at the quality of the diagnosis which will be very important. And to do this, obviously, we took it very seriously. We have spent a lot of time in the past 3 years in developing tools to do this very, very effectively, because it requires to do a technical analysis of all the objects. What is the type of customization? As I said, a lot of times we don't even know what all customization do I have in the database. 2, is it still good? Do we use it or we don't use it? Are there alternates available or not? So which is where we do a technical analysis. We bring out whatever is the current assessment of the customization done. We discuss what is the wish list, and then map it with Business Central, and then suggest that what all mapping should be done, what should be the way forward. And we do this exercise and we offer it as a service to the customers. I think, and what we provide is, once we run our tool, it extracts all the customization, will clearly call out that what customization will create conflict if we are trying to move them to Business Central, and then what time and effort it will take to actually convert them. So I think with this, I have kind of covered those areas that how we should look at moving from NAV to Business Central. I'll just open it for a few minutes. If and there are any questions, we'll be happy to take those questions. Let me just allow the mic.
Good morning, Mr. Tyagi. This is Sanjay from Tech Meridian.
Hi, Sanjay.
Yeah, I have a question. Like when I'm migrating from 2016 to Business Central, as we don't have any intermediate like BC13 or something like that, which is there in worldwide version. So my question is, what is the tool that we are having to migrate the old data into new platform? So do we have any intermediate system? Like how do I migrate the data? That is my question is.
So I can inform you that Microsoft is going to release an upgrade toolkit, which will be released, with this Wave 2 October 18.9. So there will be an upgrade toolkit which will move all your NAV 2016 data to Business Central.
Great.
So
Thanks.
Localization has also changed between the two. It will take care of moving from existing, localization features and data to. So it will move all your data to Business Central.
So one more question, like currently, what we can do now, we can only implement the new implementation, right? So data migration thing cannot be done in current situation.
Till the upgrade toolkit is released. But as I said, you can still do a lot of analysis to see what needs to be taken and how. And so what there are two parts. One, what you need the upgrade toolkit is only for the data movement. But for customizations, obviously you have to convert them into extensions. So the two don't have to happen, you know, in parallel. So you can actually do all your conversions, and then once you have the upgrade toolkit, that time you can just utilize it for migrating the.
All right. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other question?
So can I ask one more question, please?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So if I suggest to my customer go for the cloud version, so if they are having any .NET variable in use, so as far my knowledge is concerned, I know that in cloud version you can't use any .NET variables. So is there any chance like in future this might have included, or what should be the process, or we need to straightway we need to eliminate that?
No, I think that
REST
and
API.
if you want, I can actually have my colleague Rishabh, who is much more knowledgeable on this than me. He can answer, but I think yes, you can. Rishabh, can you provide him more information?
Yeah. I mean, Sanjay, there are still in the current scenarios, we still have more than one options of implementing .NET variables. I mean, we can have Azure functions in place. With the on-prem version, we always have the option to use .NET variable. But yeah, with the cloud version, we have Azure functions in place where you can run your .NET logic in Azure function, and you can just call the APIs of Azure functions there. For a long-term plan, yeah, they are definitely planning to do something. I cannot commit on that, but as of now, the alternative of using .NET variables is that you move that .NET variables code into Azure functions. You call Azure functions from Business Central, execute your logic in Azure function, then get back the output, and it will happen using APIs.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this answer.
Sure.
So if there are no more questions, then I'd like to thank you all for your time, and we'll wrap this up. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at, artyagi@olitech.com. Thank you all. Thanks for your time. We'll close the session.
Bye-bye.